Hi, this is Abraham Walker with Ask A Walker, your Northern Virginia real estate agent, and this is week one, day 6 of the What If Gary Keller Was My Real Estate Coach. So it's the accountability session. You can follow this journey using the hashtag MyCoachGK. Also, you can find this on YouTube, and I'm also setting up a web page. Oh, I already set it up. It's at www.askawalker.com /mycoachgk. I noticed that using Facebook and YouTube and all these other mediums was insufficient if I wanted to post any document that goes along with this journey or links to supporting information. So you can find all those links on that particular website. So let's get in and talk about the more details and dialogues about this journey. Then we'll talk about the numbers for last week and the planning process going forward. Hi, Susan. Okay, so this program is starting in August, so August 1st. 2018, and it's going to go until July 2019. That means that our quarters end on October 2018, January 2019, April 2019, and July 2019. So in our quarterly reviews that will happen in November, February, May, and August, we will review our numbers as far as sold volume and number of transactions. Focuses on number of transactions on a monthly basis. Since it's a lagging number, really doesn't. I don't think that brings much value to this conversation. So what I'm going to go through now is two documents that I believe that Gary Keller would require for me to coach with him. One of those documents is a 135, and the second document supports the 135, and it's called the 411. So let's talk about what those documents are, and then we'll talk about what's on mine. So the 135 is a one pager. I skipped lines on this page here, so it's actually 2 pages, but just assume that it is 1 page. So it's a 1-page document that just shows what your plans are for the year. And the 1 and the 135 stands for your goal for the year. The 3 stands for your priorities to reach that goal. And then the 5 stands for the strategies that you will use to accomplish that goal. So our goal for this 12-month period of time is 16 million in sold volume. The 3 priorities that we're going to use for that is a seller closed business, buyer closed business, and then the third priority is really just more or less like who do you want to become, or what type of agent you desire to be to stick to that plan. So our strategies for priority 1, which is seller closed business, is phone call prospecting, which will produce 9 units. Open houses, which will produce 2 seller units, Sphere, which will produce 4 seller units, internet lead generation, which will produce 2 seller units, and farming, which will produce 1 seller unit. Then we have the buyer closed transactions, which will represent 50% of our total transactions and 50% of our sales volume. So Sphere will count for 4 units, internet lead generation will count for 6 buyer units, open houses will account for 4 buyer units, phone call prospecting will account for 2 buyer units, and agent-to-agent referrals will count for 2 buyer units. For the third priority, which is who do you want to become, strategy 1 is using the Keller Williams University training programs to mold our business in the way that Keller Williams would, I guess Gary Keller would advise us. So we're going to use the Ignite program, lead generation 36-12-3, win with sellers and win with buyers to execute that. The second strategy is to hire a virtual assistant. The virtual assistant will essentially be the person that manages our database as we have more phone calls and more contacts coming into the system. Somebody's going to need we'll benefit from somebody processing that information on our end. Read the strategy 3 is read the Millionaire Real Estate Agent 4 times. Strategy 4 is implement the 8x8 and 33 touch program on all contacts are individuals that are added to our database. And strategy 5 is read the 7 habits of highly effective people, which is more like a leadership book. All right, so now we're going into, so that was the 135, right? It should fit on one page. I skipped lines on this line paper. It'll fit on one page when I type this document up. And you'll be able to see this on www.askawalker.com, my coach GK. All right, so let's go through the 411. So this is another document I believe that Gary Keller would require if he was coaching me. Okay, so the 411 is broken up into those numbers mean something. So 4 stands for the 4 weeks in the month. One of the ones represents the month, and the other one represents the year. And the way the 411 works is you start with your annual goal, then you go down to your monthly goal, then you go down to your weekly goals. And since we're at the beginning of the month, you're only going to have the first week filled in, and the month will be predicated or a byproduct of what your yearly goal is. So there's some percentage that you anticipate on doing in this section of your 411 to hit your yearly goal. And then, of course, the week is a percentage of that too. The one thing to consider when you're using the 411, you can find this 411 online. You can just Google Keller Williams 411, and also you can visit my website. When you're using a 411, the weekly goals are really more or less your activities, and all of these two, the monthly and the yearly goals, are lagging. What is it called? Leading and lagging indicators. So this is a lagging indicator. So this is just a result. So the month is a byproduct of your actions, and so your actions are right here in this week, and then this week will then transfer to your calendar. That's how this system works. So let's just go over the annual goals, monthly goals. Then we get into the weekly numbers that we're tracking. So for the annual goals, there's 36 transactions at an average sales price of $450,000, which is our average sales price for this particular area. So that would lead to 16 million in sold volume. So these are annual goals. So another annual goal is to add 1,920 people to my database using the economic model. Which is also, you can find this online as well, and you'll be able to find a blank copy of this on my website. You can break down your seller business and your buyer business. So for the year, our seller numbers are, our seller goal is to do 28 listings taken, 35 seller appointments, 23 buyer listings taken, 35 buyer appointments. Then we have our personal development. We have read the Millionaire Real Estate Agent 4 times, go through and complete all the activities in Ignite, lead generation 36-12-3, win with sellers, win with buyers, and customer satisfaction. So those are all training courses that are provided through the Keller Williams systems that we'll walk ourselves through and complete every activity that is in those training materials. So this is the Ignite material right here. So you could print this up. You could print this information up through Keller Williams University. If you're not with Keller Williams and you're following along, I think you can find Ignite material that some of the market centers store on unprotected databases or servers. So if you just Google Ignite, you should be able to find most of the sessions to create this own process for yourself. So now let's go into the monthly goals. When you're breaking down the monthly goals, I find it best to divide your goals. Instead of dividing your goals by 12, to assume that you're going to be off, you're going to have vacations, and you're going to be sick sometime throughout the year, or you'll just not be in a 100% for work, so you may take a couple days off. So divide your goals by 11, and this will give you a better opportunity of hitting your goals, because you should be ahead of the year with this strategy. And real estate is it's considered a seasonal business. So we do a lot of real estate agents, or real estate in general. We have more sales in the second and third quarter than we do in the first and the fourth quarter. Most individual sales are indicative of this process. So just keep that in mind when you are transferring this idea of dividing, taking a straight line method of averaging out your goals over the year. Okay, so let's get into August numbers as far as what's our goal. Our goal is to do 4 transactions, 1.45 million in sold volume, add 175 people to our database, and complete all of the Ignite materials. Ignite has 12 modules in it, so we'll complete 3 of the modules per week. So in addition to that, in addition to completing these modules, we'll also, there's assignments that are in here. So we're going to take all of the assignments that are in here, we're going to print them out, and we're going to create our separate manual for ourselves, and we're going to use that as our standard operating procedure for the Ask A Walker company. So essentially using the Keller Williams systems and classes to create our own manual. All right, so as far as seller and buyer listings, buyer business, our monthly goal is 3 seller listings taken, 4 seller listing appointments, 3 buyer listings taken, and 4 buyer listing appointments. Now we're in the weekly numbers here. Let's just check. Okay. Now we're in the weekly numbers. So our weekly numbers are that we're tracking for are the activities. We're going for 50 contacts made, 50 people added to our database, 50 thank you notes. By the way, those so last week we did, because we started on the 1st, so we were only 3 days into the program for that particular week, and the thank you notes, it takes about 4 minutes per thank you note, so you really want to make sure you allow yourself enough time to complete your thank you notes. So 50 thank you notes, 10 homes previewed, 1 seller listing appointment, 1 seller listing taken, 1 buyer listing appointment, 1 buyer listing taken, read 50 pages of the MREA book, and complete modules 1, 2, and 3 of the Ignite session, right? Yes, so like I talked about on the first video, the tools for accountability that we're going to be using are the 135, we just went over, 411, we just went over, contact sheet. Marvin Felix in the Keller Williams Woodbridge office created this nice little contact sheet that I use to track all my contacts and phone calls, and some type of database summary. I haven't figured out what we're going to use to track the database summary part of the this process, but we'll figure that out as we go along. Just to kind of bring you up to speed, the goal is to use the since Gary Keller isn't my coach, and since this whole idea is to pretend like he is my coach, we're saying to ourselves, what would he say in this position, or how would he guide an individual through the building of a real estate practice or a business? And the way we're coming about that type of guidance or that system is saying, okay, great. So Keller Williams already has the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, right? And they already have these training classes that they provide. So what if Gary Keller is essentially trying to tell us how to build our businesses through these modules? And what if the way to be coached by him or to incorporate his teachings was to essentially say to ourselves everything that's mentioned in these manuals were meant to be implemented. And so that's this experiment for the next 12 months. Let's see, anything else? Okay, so that was that, and I just want to say, if you know anyone that's been coached by Gary Keller personally, and this is a little bit off, or if you have any insight yourself, please feel free to chime in. That'd be great. And I want to leave you with this for this particular session. It's on page 45 of the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book. At the bottom of the page, it says, people who push themselves to their limits make peace with their limitations and avoid regrets at the end of the day and at the end of their life. They give it their all. It's the difference between being able to say, I'm glad I did versus I wish I had. And there is a big difference. That's what this whole process is about, right? So pushing ourselves, making peace with our limitations, and avoiding regrets. So since we're with Keller Williams has all these training classes, they have all these programs. Wouldn't it make sense to incorporate this stuff into our business without question, right? Without doubting it, and just blind faith into the organization. So that's the goal. And thank you for watching. If you have any questions, please post them down below. I'll be happy to answer them. And that's it for me. I will see you on next Monday. Peace.